25. Read the Bible in a year. Joshua 12 through 15. Joshua chapter 12. Now these are the kings of the land whom the children of Israel struck, and possessed their land beyond the Jordan toward the sunrise, from the valley of the Arnon to Mount Hermon, and all the Arabah, eastward. Sihon, king of the Amorites, who lived in Heshbon, and ruler from Aroer, which is on the edge of the valley of Arnon, and the middle of the valley, and half Gilead, even to the river Jabbok, the border of the children of Ammon, and the Arabah to the sea of Chinneroth eastward, and to the sea of the Arabah, even the salt sea eastward, the way to Beth Jeshemoth, and on the south, under the slopes of Pisgah, and the border of Og, king of Bashan, of the remnant of the Rephaim, who lived at Ashtaroth and at Edrei, and ruled in Mount Hermon, and in Salakah, and in all Bashan to the border of the Gershurites, and the Maccathites, and half Gilead, the border of Sihon, king of Heshbon. Moses, the servant of the Lord, and the children of Israel struck them. Moses, the servant of the Lord, gave it for possession to the Reubenites and the Gadites and the half-tribe of Manasseh. These are the kings of the land whom Joshua and the children of Israel struck beyond the Jordan westward, from Baal Gad in the valley of Lebanon, even to Mount Halak, that goes up to Seir. Joshua gave it to the tribes of Israel for a possession, according to their divisions. In the hill country, and in the lowland, and in the Arabah, and in the slopes, and in the wilderness, and in the south, the Hittite, the Amorite, and the Canaanite, the Perizzite, the Hivite, and the Jebusite, the king of Jericho, one, the king of Ai, which is beside Bethel, one, the king of Jerusalem, one, the king of Hebron, one, the king of Jarmuth, one, the king of Lachish, one, the king of Eglon, one, the king of Gezer, one, the king of Debir, one, the king of Geder, one, the king of Hormah, one, the king of Arad, one, the king of Libnah, one, the king of Adullam, one, the king of Makkedah, one, the king of Bethel, one, the king of Tappuah, one, the king of Hepher, one, the king of Aphek, one, the king of Lasharon, one, the king of Madon, one, the king of Hazor, one, the king of Shimron, Meron, one, the king of Akshaph, one, the king of Tanakh, one, the king of Megiddo, one, the king of Kadesh, one, the king of Jokneam in Carmel, one, the king of Dor in the height of Dor, one, the king of Goim in Gilgal, one, the king of Tisra, one, all the kings, 31.
Joshua 13. Now Joshua was old and well advanced in years. The Lord said to him, "You are old and advanced in years, and there remains yet very much land to be possessed. This is a land that still remains, all the regions of the Philistines, and all the Geshurites from the Shihor, which is before Egypt, even to the border of Ekron northward, which is counted as Canaanite. The 5 lords of the Philistines, the Gazites, and the Ashdodites, the Ashkelonites, the Gittites, and the Ekronites, also the Abim on the south, all the land of the Canaanites, and Mira that belongs to the Sidonians, to Aphek, to the border of the Amorites, and the land of the Gebalites, and all Lebanon toward the sunrise, from Baalgad under Mount Hermon to the entrance of Hamath, all the inhabitants of the hill country from Lebanon to Mizraphoth Maim, even all the Sidonians. I will drive them out from before the children of Israel. Just allocate it to Israel for an inheritance, as I have commanded you. Now, therefore, divide this land for an inheritance to the 9 tribes and the half-tribe of Manasseh. With him the Reubenites and the Gadites received their inheritance, which Moses gave them, beyond the Jordan eastward, even as Moses, the servant of the Lord, gave them. From Ora, that is on the edge of the valley of the Arnon, and the city that is in the middle of the valley, and all the plain of Medeba to Dibon, and all the cities of Sihon, king of the Amorites, who reigned in Heshbon, to the border of the children of Ammon, and Gilead, and the border of the Geshurites, and Maccathites, and all Mount Hermon, and all Bashan and Salekah, all the kingdom of Og and Bashan, who reigned in Ashtaroth, and in Edrei, who was left of the remnant of the Raphaim. For Moses attacked these and drove them out. Nevertheless, the children of Israel didn't drive out the Geshurites, nor the Maccathites, but Geshur and Maccath lived within Israel to this day. Only he gave no inheritance to the tribe of Levi. The offerings of the Lord, the God of Israel, made by fire, are his inheritance, as he spoke to him. Moses gave to the tribe of the children of Reuben according to their families. Their border was from Oror, that is on the edge of the valley of the Arnon, and the city that is in the middle of the valley, and all the plain by Medeba, Heshbon, and all its cities that are in the plain, Dibon, Bamoth Baal, Beth Baal, Meon, Jahaz, Kedemoth, Mithpath, Kiriathaim, Sibmah, Zerath, Shahar, in the mount of the valley, Beth Peor, the slopes of Pisgah, Beth Jeshemoth, all the cities of the plain, and all the kingdom of Sihon king of the Amorites, who reigned in Heshbon, whom Moses struck with the chiefs of Midian, Evi, Rechem, Zur, Hur, and Reba, the princes of Sihon, who lived in the land. The children of Israel also killed Balaam, the son of Beor, the soothsayer, with the sword among the rest of their slain. The border of the children of Reuben was the bank of the Jordan. This was the inheritance of the children of Reuben according to their families, the cities and its villages. Moses gave to the tribe of Gad, to the children of Gad according to their families. Their border was Yazer, and all the cities of Gilead, and half the tribe of the children of Ammon, to Aror, that is near Rabbath, and from Heshbon to Ramoth Mizpah, and Betonim, and from Mahanaim to the border of Debir, and in the valley, Beth Haram, Beth Nirmah, Succoth, and Zaphon, the rest of the kingdom of Sihon, king of Heshbon, the Jordan's bank to the uttermost part of the sea of Chinnereth, beyond the Jordan eastward. This is the inheritance of the children of Gad according to their families, the cities and its villages. Moses gave an inheritance to the half-tribe of Manasseh. It was for the half-tribe of the children of Manasseh according to their families. Their border was from Mahanaim, all Bashan, all the kingdom of Og, king of Bashan, and all the villages of Yer, which are in Bashan, 60 cities, half Gilead, Ashtaroth, and Edrei, the cities of the kingdom of Og and Bashan, were for the children of Machir, the son of Manasseh, even for the half of the children of Machir according to their families. These are the inheritance which Moses distributed in the plains of Moab beyond the Jordan at Jericho eastward. But Moses gave no inheritance to the tribe of Levi. The Lord, the God of Israel, is their inheritance, as he spoke to them.
Joshua chapter 14. These are the inheritance which the children of Israel took in the land of Canaan, which Eleazar the priest, Joshua the son of Nun, and the heads of the fathers' houses of the tribes of the children of Israel distributed to them, by the lot of their inheritance, as the Lord commanded by Moses, for the 9 tribes and for the half-tribe, for Moses had given the inheritance of the 2 tribes and the half-tribe beyond the Jordan. But to the Levites he gave no inheritance among them. For the children of Joseph were 2 tribes, Manasseh and Ephraim. They gave no portion to the Levites in the land except cities to dwell in. with their pasture lands for their livestock and for their property. The children of Israel did as the Lord commanded Moses, and they divided the land. Then the children of Judah came near to Joshua in Gilgal. Caleb, the son of Jephunneh, the Kenizzite, said to him, "You know the thing that the Lord spoke to Moses, the man of God, concerning me and concerning you in Kadesh Barnea. I was 40 years old when Moses, the servant of the Lord, sent me from Kadesh Barnea to spy out the land. I brought him word again, as it was in my heart. Nevertheless, my brothers who went up with me made the heart of the people melt. But I wholly followed the Lord my God. Moses swore on that day, saying, Surely the land where you walked shall be inheritance to you and to your children forever, because you have wholly followed the Lord my God. Now, behold, the Lord has kept me alive as he spoke these 45 years. From the time the Lord spoke this word to Moses while Israel walked in the wilderness, now I am 85 years old today, and yet I am as strong today as I was in the day that Moses sent me. As my strength was then, even so is my strength now for war. To go out, to come in, and therefore give me this hill country, of which the Lord spoke in that day. For you heard in that day how the Anakim were there, and great and fortified cities. It may be that the Lord will be with me, and I shall drive them out as the Lord said. Joshua blessed him, and he gave Hebron to Caleb the son of Jephunneh for an inheritance. Therefore Hebron became the inheritance of Caleb the son of Jephunneh the Kenizzite to this day, because he followed the Lord, the God of Israel, wholeheartedly. Now the name of Hebron before was Kiriath Arba, after the greatest man among the Anakim. Then the land had rest from war.
Joshua 15. The lot for the tribe of the children of Judah according to their families was to the border of Edom, and to the wilderness of Zin southward, at the uttermost part of the south. Their south border was from the uttermost part of the Salt Sea, from the bay that looked southward, and it went out southward of the ascent of Akrabim, and passed along to Zin, and went up by the south of Kadesh Barnea, and passed along by Hezron, went up to Adar, and turned toward Karka. And it passed along to Asmon, went out at the brook of Egypt, and the border ended at the sea. This shall be your south border. The east border was the Salt Sea, even to the end of the Jordan. The border of the north quarter was from the bay of the sea at the end of the Jordan. The border went up to Beth Hoglah, and passed along by the north of Beth Araba, and the border went up to the stone of Bohan, the son of Reuben. The border went up to Debir from the valley of Achor, and so northward, looking towards Gilgal. That faces the ascent of Adumim, which is on the south side of the river. The border passed along to the waters of En Shemesh, and ended in En Rogel. The border went up by the valley of the son of Hinnom to the side of the Jebusite, also called Jerusalem, southward, and the border went up to the top of the mountain that lies before the valley of Hinnom westward, which is at the furthest part of the valley of Rephaim northward. The border extended from the top of the mountain to the spring of the waters of Nephtoah, and went out to the cities of Mount Ephron, and the border extended to Bala, also called Kiriath, and the border turned about from Bala westward to Mount Seir, and passed along to the side of Mount Jearim, also called Chesalon, on the north, and went down to Beth Shemesh, and passed along by Timnah. And the border went out to the side of Ekron northward, and the border extended to Shikkeron, and passed along to Mount Bala, and went out at Jebneel, and the goings out of the border were at the sea. The west border was to the shore of the Great Sea. This is the border of the children of Judah according to their families. He gave to Caleb the son of Jephunneh, a portion amongst the children of Judah, according to the commandment of the Lord to Joshua. Even Kiriath Arba, named after the father of Anak, also called Hebron. Caleb drove out the 3 sons of Anak, Sheshai and Ahiman and Talmai, the children of Anak. He went up against the inhabitants of Debir. Now the name of Debir before was Kiriath Sepher. Caleb said, "He who strikes Kiriath Sepher and takes it, to him I will give Ashsah, my daughter, as wife." Othniel, the son of Kenaz, the brother of Caleb, took it, and he gave him Ashsah, his daughter, as wife. When she came, she had him ask her father for a field. She got off her donkey, and Caleb said, "What do you want?" She said, "Give me a blessing, because you have set me in the land of the south. Give me also springs of water." So he gave her the upper springs and the lower springs. This is the inheritance of the tribe of the children of Judah according to their families. The furthest cities of the tribe of the children of Judah toward the border of Edom in the south were Kabzeel, Eder, Jagur, Kina, Dimnah, Adada, Kedesh, Hazar, Ithnan, Ziph, Telem, Bealoth, Hazer Hadattah, Kiriath Hezron, also called Hazer, Amam, Shema, Melodah, Hazar, Gada, Heshbon, Beth Pelet, Hazer Shuel, Beersheba, Biziothia, Bala, Eam, Ezem, Eltolad, Chezil, Hormah, Ziklag, Matmenah, Sansana, Labaoth, Shilhim, Ain, and Rimmon. All the cities are 29 with their villages. In the lowland, Eshtaol, Zorah, Ashna, Zanoah, En-gannim, Tapua, Enam, Yarmouth, Adullam, Soko, Azekah, Sharaim, Adathaim, and Gedera, or Gederathaim, 14 cities with their villages. Zenon, Hadashah, Migdal-gad, Dilian, Mizpah, Joktheel, Lashith, Bozkath, Eglon, Kabon, Lamim, Shitlish, Gederoth, Beth Dagon, Nama, and Makkedah, 16 cities with their villages. Libnah, Ether, Asham, Iftah, Ashna, Nezib, Keilah, Ashzib, and Mareshah, 9 cities with their villages. Ekron, with its towns and its villages, from Ekron to the sea, all that were by the side of Ashdod, with their villages. Ashdod, its towns and its villages. Gaza, its towns and its villages, to the brook of Egypt, and the great sea with its coastline. In the hill country, Shamir, Yatir, Soka, Dana, Kiriath Sana, which is Debir, Anab, Eshtemoa, Anim, Goshem, Holon, and Gilo, 11 cities with their villages. Arab, Duma, Eshan, Yanim, Beth Tapua, Aphekah, Humta, Kiriath Arba, also called Hebron, and Zior, 9 cities with their villages. Maon, Carmel, Ziph, Zuta, Zereel, Jokdeam, Zanoah, Cain, Gibeah, and Timnah, 10 cities with their villages. Halhal, Bethzur, Gedor, Merath, Beth Anoth, and Eltekon, 6 cities with their villages. Kiriath Baal, also called Kiriath Jearim, and Reba, 2 cities with their villages. In the wilderness, Beth Arabah, Midden, Sekakah, Nibshan, the city of salt, and En-gedi, 6 cities with their villages. As for the Jebusites, the inhabitants of Jerusalem, the children of Judah, couldn't drive them out, but the Jebusites lived with the children of Judah at Jerusalem to this day. I really appreciate how specific the Bible is, that there's specific lines drawn out. And when I was listening to this and reading it, I couldn't help but think about how God was making a boundary. This is going to be kind of like a kingdom, his group, his area, the region that marked out where his people were going to settle at that time. This was their land, and this was for them so that they could worship him without being, hopefully, interrupted by others who followed idols and other gods.
Yeah.
And it's very clear, and even archaeological evidence today shows that a lot of those places, they still exist. We know of the different seas and some of those towns that were mentioned exist to this day. Yeah. But those were boundary lines that were made for the Israelites at that time for the protection of God's people, and I think also not just physically but also spiritually.
I think it's interesting because where God was placing them, that central Middle Eastern area of the world, at the time was the center of trade for the rest of the areas around him. I think so God was protecting his people, but also he's putting them at the center to have an impact on the rest of the world because they were a nation of priests.
They could go out to other places from there.
Yeah, and people had to pass through Israel on the King's Highway to come up from Egypt to go to Turkey and Lebanon and all those areas around there, which Turkey is modern day Babylon. So
it just helps me to just remember how God has a plan. You know, when people wonder, as humans, we can kind of sometimes question God or wonder what's going to happen in my future. What can I expect?
Yeah.
And God has a plan for every single individual. He had a plan for the whole nation of the Israelites, but he also has a plan for us today. And it's not a vague plan. God has a very clear plan. But what he calls us to do is to trust him.
Yeah.
And to know that his plan is the better way to go.
Yeah.
And he had a plan back then, which at the time they just didn't understand, but later on in the Bible we'll see why he chose those. But he still has a plan today for us.
Yeah. And it's interesting because we get a soaring in view of the two guys who were faithful to God when they spied out the promised land to begin with, Joshua, son of Nun, and Caleb, son of Jephunneh. And Joshua, it says, you're old. He's an old man at this point, but God says, no, Joshua, you're not. I'm not done with it yet.
He's like 85 years old or something, right?
Yeah. Well, Caleb was 85.
Oh,
I'm
Caleb,
sure Joshua
right.
was around that time.
Yeah.
But I just really see the faith of these guys. You know, following God keeps you vital and vigorous as a man. You know, it's not something to be, put out to pasture. Caleb said, I'm 85. I'm ready to fight these Anakim. And they were the giants.
They're the giants. It wasn't just, I'm going to go out and fight, but just give me the hardest people and I'm going to go against. Give me the most difficult situation. Yeah. I'm ready. And he was literally physically ready. I thought about my father up until a couple of years ago. He's 93. And I mean, he has so much energy. And he just is out in that garden every day when in the summertime and just working and digging. At over 90 years old, he was doing that till recently. But I also think about, I have a lot of women around me saying that when they look around and they see a devoted Christian woman, that they look young. They look younger than the women around them. Now, I'm saying this as a generalization, but I have noticed it too. I think that when you trust in God and not yourself, you have less stress, and right, stress can age you. I think literally, even physically, trusting God helps us to stay strong. Doesn't mean we're not going to have some illnesses. Doesn't mean that if we get an illness, it's because we're not trusting God. But I'm just saying that it does, I believe, help us to have a young heart, and even I believe that it can even physically help to keep us a bit younger.
I think when we chase after security in the world's possessions or things or fame or respect and honor, we can really get ourselves haggard and beat up. But when we just trust that our security comes from God, we can relax a little bit.
Absolutely. In the world, it's up and down, up and down. I remember those days when my emotions were based on how successful I was and how much stress I had and how much anxiety I had. And I just don't have that anymore. And I'm so thankful for that.
So true. Well, let's see what happens next.
Okay.
See you next time.